And a good Thursday morning, everyone. This is Mike Montefusco, National Weather Service Wakefield meteorologist, and we'll be talking about the weather briefing for today going on into the upcoming weekend. Let's take a look at some of the weather highlights we have for you. Continued dry, a pronounced warming trend that is going to continue as we get on into the upcoming weekend here. We do have some widespread low to mid 90s that are going to become a little bit more widespread as we get into tomorrow and especially on Saturday. On the good side, the heat index values will remain close to the actual temperatures due to the relative humidity values generally remaining on the low side because of our dry conditions that are ongoing. Shower and storm chances do return as we get on into Sunday and Monday. We do have a weak cold front that will be dropping across the area. There is some widespread chance of some lighter showers. However, the widespread beneficial rainfall that we do need is highly unlikely. Those drought conditions, therefore, are expected to continue for the foreseeable future, given that lack of rain that is in the forecast over the next foreseeable future, really. In terms of the rip current risk, we do have a moderate rip risk over eastern shore beaches and the Virginia Beach oceanfront today, with a high rip current risk across the northern outer banks of northeast North Carolina. On the marine side, we are looking at benign marine conditions through the remainder of this work week here as high pressure settles over the area. We'll be talking about that as we go forward. Taking a look at the weather pattern outlook over the next several days. Once again, we have high pressure settled over the region. It's going to slide offshore as we get into later tomorrow on into the beginning of the day on Saturday. That's going to lock in a warmer weather pattern. That's going to bring generally southwesterly winds and a warmer pattern setting up for tomorrow, Saturday, even into Sunday, even as we cool down a little bit with that front dropping into the area. It'll remain pretty warm on Sunday, though we do have a chance of a few showers or perhaps even a thunderstorm Sunday afternoon and evening. On Monday, that front is going to kind of remain in the area, so we do have continued storm chances on Monday. Once again, chances for any appreciable widespread rainfall remains low. In terms of the excessive heat threat over the next 5 days, you can see it starting to ramp up tomorrow and certainly Saturday, the warmest day of the period. A little bit cooler, incrementally cooler, I guess you would say, on Sunday, but still quite warm. And then on Monday, we do cool down a little bit more. Kind of ramp up once again with that warmer messaging for the next few days. Warmer today, upper 80s to around 90 inland, mid 80s along the coast. Friday, we are warming back into the 90s tomorrow for most of the area, except maybe the immediate coast will remain in the upper 80s. And then on Saturday, warmest day of the period, once again, low to mid 90s for most of the area, even along the coast, generally right around 90. So some warmer days ahead. And even on Sunday, as that front drops into the area, will remain in the 90s, perhaps a degree or two cooler with the increasing cloud cover. In terms of the precipitation forecast, you can see there's not a whole lot of it. Mainly dry weather coming over the next several days. Some storm chances are possible on Sunday afternoon, evening time frame, potentially into Monday. Again, those rain chances, while there, are not looking to produce any appreciable rainfall, which unfortunately we do need. Breaking out that daily regional forecast here for you, here is our tables on the high and low end, and then certainly the chance of rain Sunday night. Again, you can see no real great chances for widespread rainfall across the area. Remaining warm today, warming up tomorrow on through the weekend, with a brief cool down early next week before we start to warm up once again into the middle portions of next week. Looking ahead to the week beyond, yeah, not surprising. Near to above normal temperatures over the next 6 to 10 day period, getting into the middle to end of next week, and then getting into the precipitation outlook near to below normal precipitation ongoing. The rip current forecast, once again, we are looking moderate for most of our area beaches today. The high rip risk continues for the North Carolina beaches with that shore normal flow kind of pushing onshore here. Again, with that elevated rip current risk, again, the northern outer banks is the biggest concern area for today and as we get into the weekend. On the drought monitor, this is the brand new drought monitor graphic for our area. You can see there a little bit of relief with the recent rains about 10 days ago, but over central Virginia, I-64 corridor down into the Richmond metro area, but still good portion of our area in extreme drought. Severe to extreme drought. So again, keep those drought precautions in mind going forward here. Tropical weather outlook, not much in the way of tropical cyclone activity here in the young tropical season. We'll keep an eye on that for you. And I wanted to raise your attention to a strong geomagnetic storm, which is going to be a concern over the next day or so. We had a pretty energetic coronal mass ejection of solar plasma, which is going to be colliding with the Earth's magnetic field. As you can see, it left the sun beginning later in the day on the 2nd, which is a couple days ago, and that is going to provide potentially some impacts to, we'll kind of keep an eye on the voltage corrections that may be required and some impacts to the grid. Again, the more energetic the disruption of that plasma colliding, the more impact there is there. So got to keep an eye on the potential for some satellite or navigation issues today, tonight. In terms of the aurora, there might be some visibility on the far northern horizon, especially in the far northern parts of our area, with majority across the northern tier of states from the Dakotas up into the northern mid-Atlantic. On the marine side of things, real quickly, once again, the benign marine conditions are going to continue as we get into Saturday with respect to that high pressure remaining centered over the area. Some marginal small craft conditions are possible as we get into later Saturday and into Sunday ahead of that front, and then with the front crossing later Sunday into Monday, with the northeasterly flow and the onshore marine air mass that pushes in, modified marine air mass that pushes in early next week. Here's the weather pattern once again, in case you missed it the first time. Again, that high pressure kind of builds over the region, slides offshore, and then we start to look at that front that'll be dropping across the area Sunday into Monday, with that west-southwesterly flow out ahead of the front, turning more north-northeasterly as we get into Sunday-Monday time frame. And then that cooler marine air mass will kind of linger for the early portions of next week before that high kind of slides offshore and we start to warm up once again for the latter portions of next week with the flow turning back offshore. Marine threat potential next couple of days. Some gusts to around 20-25 knots possible over the nearshore waters and in the Chesapeake Bay. Again, the chances for some small craft as we get into later Saturday night ahead of the front and then behind the front on Monday with the northeasterly flow coming in behind that front for Monday. Here are your tables, sub-advisory conditions, again through Friday, modest increase as we get into the weekend with the southwesterly flow turning back around to the northeast later Sunday into Monday, just outside of the period denoted here. On the coastal waters side, we are starting to see that wind start to turn around as you get to the end of this timetable that you see here. Some gusts, again, 20-25 knots possible out of the south-southwest Friday night and Saturday, increasing with potential gusts to about 25 to 30 knots on the coastal waters side as you get into Saturday night into Sunday. Here's your regional marine summary getting through across the region. Again, you can see more south-southwesterly flow as we get into the weekend, turning back around to the north-northeast later Sunday into Monday. And then that onshore flow kind of persists through Monday, Tuesday time frame before the winds start to turn gradually back around to the east-southeast and then eventually back to the southwest for later next week, where we start to warm up once again later next week. On the waves for the sea states, generally pretty benign on the marine for right now. Generally 1 to 2 foot seas in the bay and the rivers for the wave heights. Generally 1 to 2, right around Cape Henry up to about 3 foot down to the mouth of Chesapeake Bay. On the coastal waters side, Fairly well behaved for right now, generally 3 to 4 foot seas. There was a little bit of some east southeasterly swell getting involved there, but generally for the most part benign. For the most part, later in the weekend, we do have the potential for some building seas with some small craft potential once again for Saturday night into Sunday. So once again, the wind wave forecast going forward here, 2 to 3 foot for the most part near shore, a little bit more once you get out towards 20 to 60 nautical miles off the offshore waters, and then some occasional higher waves in the offshore waters as well with that easterly southeasterly swell. A little bit of some chop potentially, but otherwise fairly well behaved in near shore waters. That will generally continue tomorrow. Some more energetic waves pushing in as you get later in the day tomorrow on into Saturday. But again, for the most part, benign. And day 3, it starts to get a little more active. We get some building seas out ahead of that front. Generally, some increasing seas to get into day 3 with the potential for some small craft once you get into Saturday afternoon and especially Saturday evening. Again, the rip current forecast moderate for most of our area beaches with a high rip risk for North Carolina beaches. Nothing on our tropical weather outlook. That is our briefing for this Thursday. We hope you have a great weekend, and we will catch you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.